This YouTube video has been produced for all you folks who are too lazy to do your own research. Are you thinking of becoming a Jehovah's Witness? You might want to think again after this video. We run down the top subjects that you probably never even realized about this religion and about the Bible itself. Here we go in no particular order. Before Jehovah became Yahweh, he was worshipped by the Canaanites as the god called El. He was married to the goddess Asherah or Ishtar and had a son called Baal. El was the head of a pantheon of gods and goddesses. It was only much later that the name was used as a title to describe a generic god. Okay, so if El is a false god, then why honor him in Bible characters' names? You have Israel, Daniel, Nathaniel, Michael, etc. The Bible character Jacob was named Israel by Jehovah himself, at a time when the Canaanites were still worshipping El as a chief of a pantheon of pagan gods. Why would he do that if he was giving praise to a pagan god? Moving on to the name Jehovah, Jehovah is an inaccurate translation of the Hebrew name Yahweh. If you're going to be anal about it and knock people up at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, at least get the name right. Personally, if I was Yahweh, I'd be pretty upset if people called me Jehovah. If you assume that the flood was really a true event, then the Bible has gotten its facts wrong. There are 8 million different species of animal on the planet. Try stuffing them into a boat the size of the ark and, well, you just have a load of squashed animals. Also, if the gazillion tons of floodwater was held above the Earth's atmosphere in a canopy, as the Jehovah's Witnesses believe, then everything on Earth would have died from the water pressure. This is a science fact. Why do you think that humans can only swim down to 120 meters? Because the water pressure collapses the lungs, the veins, and all the organs. So God had a covenant with the sons of Abraham, did he? Well, actually the priestly class of Egypt were mutilating themselves 626 years before that. And here is the proof. Circumcision was clearly introduced in Israel after the Egyptians had practiced it. And circumcision wasn't so special. In fact, God copied one of false religion's rituals. If copyright were around 4,000 years ago, then God would be boned. Science has discovered that many things evolve. Virus and bacteria evolution can be witnessed in the laboratory in real time. Horses share 70% of their DNA with donkeys and can still reproduce to make a mule. Humans share 98% of their DNA with chimpanzees, so can almost certainly reproduce. So far, it hasn't been attempted, but the genetic match would allow it. Also, it's been shown that many animals have leftover bits in their bodies from a time when their ancestors had different bodies. Humans have appendixes and wisdom teeth that are surplus to requirements. Whales and dolphins have pelvis and hip bones, as do snakes. Look at these pictures. The pelvis bones aren't even connected to anything. They're just sitting there in the muscle, not connected to the skeleton at all. Why would God do that? This isn't evidence of creation, it's evidence of evolution. In 2012, the Watchtower Association was successfully sued by Candace Conti. She was awarded $28 million by the courts. As a child, Candace Conti was sexually abused by a JW brother in her own congregation. Even now, the Watchtower allows child abusers to knock on people's doors. The Watchtower Association sanctions pedophiles to serve as elders, as shown in the Elders Guidebook. $28 million is a lot of cash, but it's okay, Jehovah is good for it, just so long as the saps continue to contribute to the worldwide work. There's no getting around the fact that the Watchtower was a United Nations NGO member for 10 years. The UK newspaper The Guardian broke the story in 2001, and the UN corroborated the fact by putting up a special page on its website to confirm the fact. Don't forget, the Watchtower Society told us for years that Babylon the Great was riding the wild beast. The Watchtower Society themselves had a ride on its back for 10 years, but they don't want their followers to know about it. I wonder whose idea it was to ride the beast, the governing body or Jehovah? In the 1920s, Jehovah's Witness President and King of Flim Flam, Judge Joseph Rutherford, prophesied that the end of the world would arrive in 1925. He stupidly predicted that millions now living will never die. Maybe he was talking about tortoises. I know they have a long lifespan. The other strange leader of the JWs was Pastor Russell. He was a bit crazy, and he wanted to sell us all miracle wheat. In 1975, the Watchtower Association urged its members to sell their houses, quit school, and put their life on hold and go out in full-time preaching for the coming Armageddon in 1975. Watchtower Society, that was an epic fail. Seriously. These poor people now don't have pensions thanks to you. Anyway, it wasn't the first failed prediction. They said the same thing in 1914, 1918, 1925, 1935, etc. They even said Armageddon was coming before the end of the 20th century. They promised that the generation that witnessed 1914 would not pass away before Armageddon came. Does Jehovah lie? No, of course not. Does he cause others to lie? Well, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses receives Holy Spirit directly from him, don't they? The magazines say so. So the Jehovah's Witnesses are Bible literalists. They actually believe that the origin of human languages comes from the Tower of Babel. But what explanation does science give? Linguistic specialists have identified 4 original language groups that modern-day languages are derived from. Let's take the Indo-European language as an example. Just looking at the Italic and Latin stem, we can trace 5 modern-day languages, that is French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese and Romanian. If you have ever studied these languages, you will recognize that they all have so many common root words between them that they obviously evolved and were not invented or created out of thin air. Likewise with the Germanic languages, which English is derived from, they are all fairly similar. Let's look at the map again. If languages were inserted into human history in a random way, then this map of root languages groups wouldn't look like this. They would all be scattered. For me, this is a telltale sign that languages travelled with ancient peoples and evolved as they travelled. We have good evidence that language evolves quickly. Imagine a scene where you try to get William Shakespeare to have a conversation with a gangster rapper. They both speak English, but in just 400 years, the English language has become unintelligible in some parts of the world. Try and think of one of the most horrible animals ever imagined by man. and you probably come up with Alien from the hit films. It had acid for blood, it had 2 sets of teeth, and it laid eggs in your mouth. The animal kingdom is just as grim. Shark fetuses cannibalize each other in the womb. Male lions will kill a rival lion's cubs. Wasps lay eggs in the tentacles of snails, and they start to eat the snail alive from the inside. The taipan snake has enough venom to kill 100 people in one bite. Don't get me started on viruses and bacteria. The bubonic plague killed 1/3 of the population of 14th century Europe. Remember that all of these delightful creations were made by Jehovah. Tell me you really think that a lion's teeth were created to graze grass. A lion doesn't have the stomach to be able to digest the cellulose in grass anyway. Face the fact that some animals are adapted to kill. A cow couldn't bring down an antelope and eat it. A lion is adapted to do that. Whoever designed a lion made it for the express purpose of being a killing machine. So next time you see a Watchtower magazine with children cuddling lions and leopards and sitting next to cobras, wake the hell up. Forget all the bullshit about humans only using 10% of their brains. It's an urban myth that the Watchtower loves to print. It is in fact the Jehovah's Witnesses that use only 10% of their brains. There are now quite a few good examples of early hominid fossils around. The evidence is compelling and can't be ignored, unless you are expressly forbidden to do your own research. Remember that for an animal to be fossilized, the body needs to die and fall into a lake or stream, then be covered immediately by mud and silt. The chances of this happening a lot is relatively slim, so the amount of actual hominid fossils we have collected is very impressive. Recently there have been archaeological finds like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which have been dated back to 10,000 years ago. Carved figurines are given dates of up to 40,000 years old. The Venus of Willendorf is 26,000 years old. The Venus of Hohlefels, carved from mammoth ivory, is estimated to be 40,000 years old. Cave paintings have been found in the south of France that are dated from 40,000 years ago. Scientists are confident that the dates are accurate, as limestone strata covers the paintings. Limestone in trickling water builds up over time predictably, giving an accurate date. Scientists have concluded that carbon dating is backed up by both analysis of ice cores and dendrochronology, which is the study of age rings in tree trunks. All this information goes against the Bible account and chronology. The Bible suggests that mankind has been on earth little over 6,000 years. Reject all the bullshit fed to you by Watchtower and wake up. Do your own research and I swear you'll find the truth.